right, that's in.
Send it.
I don't know, man. Maybe we should just talk to him about it. It may not be that bad.
There is no talking about it. You don't just threaten to leak the group chat and walk away from it.
I know. We've talked about it a lot, but in a court of law, they may not see this as self-defense. Besides, our group chat, it's not that bad, right?
Nick, he's flaking again.
Remind him what's on the line.
Last night, Josh sent 30 plus messages about who was redacted in the JFK files.
And those people were...
That's enough. That's good. Not a secure net, thank you.
And for the past 2 years, you, Drew, have been sending memes about the real history of World War II.
And what really happened was...
Yep. That's good. Thank you. That's enough, Nick.
I forgot about that. Yeah. On top of that, for the past 25 days, you've been updating us with pictures of your
bowel movements while you do this 30 days on food rations.
Oh, yeah.
You recorded that?
Yeah. Don't worry, I'll throw it in group chat.
Bipods, tripods, sandbags, all these long-range sniper/designated marksman stability tools can be really confusing and overwhelming to people who are just getting into long range. I know it's true for me. Do some bipods suck? Are some good? What makes the difference between the two? Is there a do-it-all sandbag? What are professional snipers doing when they hold on to their tripod in a weird way to get super stable? All of these questions I want answers to, and today we're gonna get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, positional shooting is made out to be very complex, and there is a lot to consider, from wind to the dope on the gun to getting level and everything involved, but it's still shooting, and with all shooting, it still comes down to the fundamentals. Align your sights on the target and press the trigger without moving your point of aim. The problem is getting stable with pretty much any weapon system can be difficult. And if you're zeroing, if you're hunting, or for any reason you just can't miss, you're gonna be very thankful that you put in a lot of work with just a few tools. Now let's get into it. And we'll be totally honest, Drew and I are not pros when it comes to this. We have a resident specialist in the precision stability world, and that just so happens to be Brad from Loophole. Brad, the first thing that we realized was we need some bipods. So we got a lot of different guns with different bipods here. Dive in, teach us everything you know about bipods.
Oh boy, when it comes to bipods, there are so many options. But kind of starting from the OG, I guess, would be the Harris. And Harris hasn't changed. But like this one, for example, is just M-lock. So if you needed to take it off, it's kind of a process. It also doesn't have a pod lock to adjust for cant. So it's really, you can adjust it for cant, but it's difficult to have it stay at the tension that you need to be consistent. So unfortunately, you have to take a stock Harris and put upgrades on it. This one here, same Harris for the most part, but this is an ARCA, right? So I can slide this up and down, this ripcord ARCA rail, and I can also just slip it right off. The other thing too is this has a pod lock, and so you can adjust the tension here super easy. Again, you take a Harris bipod that's a couple $100 and put a couple $100 more into it to make it the bipod that you need. I've actually gone through this whole bipod journey and then jumped back to the Harris, and this is actually the one that I compete with now on a different rifle. I will caution to make sure that they buy legitimate product. There's plenty of Temu and all kinds of bipods out there that mimic the same thing. They look like a Harris or an Atlas or several other ones, but man, they are it is not genuine product, and you will find out real quick when you start using it. So next option is this Magpul bipod. This one is a good starting point. It is limited a little bit in some of its features. It does have a fast deploy feature, which is nice. I do like that. And then these extendable legs, they do give you quite a bit of height. The one thing negative in my mind for this particular bipod is in order to lock out your pan, you have to tighten this knob down super, super tight, which also is the tension for your cant. And so you can't lock them out independently. And so it limits you as far as on your cant and being able to do that smoothly and efficiently while you're shooting. It's better than nothing. And it does work. Like I said, I've shot matches with it. But there are some better options as you grow in your gear and your precision rifle journey. All right, the next kind of technology leap in bipods is the MDT Skypod. When this bipod came out, it has a ton of features. You do have your ARCA clamp here. They do have Picatinny options as well. But the legs move and deploy super easy and in a ton of different positions. So you can change the actual height of them just by spraying them all the way out, or you can have them come all the way in to give you extra height. They super rapid deploy just by pulling down, and then simply just push the button and they go up. It is definitely very easy to move this around, and then it does have the pod lock on there for the tension. One cool thing about this is the amount of cant that you get out of this thing. So if you're shooting on a rooftop, on something just really at a extreme angle, you have a ton of option as far as how you get your gun level. I use this Skypod as a utility tool. It's kind of like it does everything else the Harris won't. One of the negatives in my mind is that I don't care for the wobble in these legs, but I use it all the time because it does solve some problems that the Harris just won't. Just like the single pull Skypod that we just looked at, this is the same thing, only it's a double pull. I believe this is also the Gen 2. Double pull is very, very similar, only it has two sections that extend. So you can get super high with this bipod. Again, it solves problems that other bipods just don't. You still get the articulation as far as the cant goes. They did change up in the Gen 2 the pod lock setup as far as the tension for the cant, but everything else is pretty much the same. There also is a triple pull option that gives you like way more height advantage, and they use that a lot in Interall Hunter. The double pull and the triple pull are probably the two most used bipods in the NRL because of its versatility. You can use bipod in the front and a bag in the rear off of a stump or off the top of a tripod. You can do things with this that you just can't with a Harris or any other bipod. Jumping bipods, this is the Atlas Cal. It has some of the similar features as the MDT bipod. It does have the pod lock. You do have a little bit of cant, not as much obviously as that Skypod. I do like the height wise. The low is very good for me, and then again you do have quite a bit of extension. The one negative, if there was going to be one, is that the way that these retract is you have to press down and then up, so it's a little bit of fumbling around, and the way they go forward, you have to press in and then up. Another generation of bipods is Accutac. Accutac makes some awesome bipods. One of the problems that I ran into is the actual deployment of these. You have to pull down and then up, which can be a negative. The positive though with these is that when they are deployed, there is no wobble. Like, it is super, super, super stable. They do have quite a bit of cant that works fine with a pod lock, and then the extension of the legs as well. Cool feature with these is that you can just press the button and they retract. So that is super fast. This is the WB4. I do like it that it is wide because you get a wide stance for more stability. A downside to that is that some of the narrower props, maybe you can't use this bipod, you got to use something else. That's when I would go to the utility player like the Skypod. All right, so this is a new one on me that Josh brought, and it's Q's bipod, which seems kind of cool. It does have, legs that deploy similar to what the Accutac is, where you pull down and then you deploy it or stow it. And then you have these legs that you twist one way, almost like a tripod, if you will, where they lock with that tension where you turn it and then deploy it. Seems to be a decent option. There's all kinds of different bipods out there. By no means is this the end all be all to bipods, but this is a pretty good look at some really good options that are out there.
Guys, if you want to save some money on some of the best gear in the game, listen up. First and foremost, TA Targets. I have been a customer and a friend of theirs since they started the company almost 10 years ago, and I have targets that have hundreds of thousands of rounds. I kid you not. And their AR 550 steel targets just take an absolute beating and keep on ticking. So if you want to save some cash on, in my opinion, the best steel targets in the game and a super ethical and great company, check out TA Targets. Now, as far as nylon gear is concerned, we absolutely love Wetworks. I have just fallen in love with a lot of their products. This one being the Summer Combat Hoodie, and it's warming up out here. If I want to wear multicam, hey, this is great because it's like nice and breathable. Love these things. I can throw them on over my kit, under my kit, you name it. Also, their nods retention devices and their Wraith Cobra hoods, which we've used in a lot of our videos and we use out in the field regularly. They are incredible. So check out Wetworks.
Yeah, good work, Drew. All right, guys, there's been a lot of talk over the past couple of years about what you should buy first, whether it's a suppressor or armor or night vision. And I'll be totally honest, with the use case of night vision being able to be applied to not just fighting, but walking around in the middle of the night, whatever it is that you're doing, I'm starting to think that it has far more purpose and application than buying your suppressor and buying a chest rig and armor. Now, I know they're expensive, but if you go over to Steel Industries, we do have a discount code. The link is in the description. You can save some money on a full Night Fighter package, or maybe you're just buying a PVS 14. Either way, go check out Steel Industries, do a little bit of research, and get some nods.
So when it comes to bags, there's a million different options. The two kind of that I started with was Armageddon Gear and Weebad, but there's also Coltac and Warhorse, and MDT just came out with their own bag, like the Peanut or something. So there's a ton of different ones coming out there. So this isn't the only answer to bags as far as positional bags goes, but it's a good start. All the different companies have basically the same thing, just in a different flavor. What I like to do for rear bag, for modified prone or just straight prone, is a mini game changer. Just a lightweight fill that's easy to manipulate when you're behind the gun. And then Weebad, again, same thing. They have light fill, they have heavy fill. This is the tater tot. One thing I do like about it is that when you grab it, it basically opens up, and then when you set it down, it basically goes around the prop. So this is my main competition bag as far as positional goes. It's a little bit bigger, but they also make a smaller size, and there's even a smaller size than that. So any of these would be good. And then we actually got reached out to Stoic Solutions, and they make these little bags that actually go on the rails for carbines. And I just started using them, I guess, last week. And I really like them. It's really cool for a carbine setup. It's not obviously what I'd use for my competition bolt gun, but for a carbine, it's nice. I mean, I've left this thing on here since I started practicing with it, just because it's out of the way. It's lightweight. It's a polyfill. It's not as good as a sand-filled bag as far as positional goes, but it's also not the weight, and it's not as big. It is way better than just putting hard on a prop and trying to shoot off of it. So I'm pretty stoked about that. They got two different sizes. So it's like the mini, and then they've got the one that's just a little bit bigger. It's easy on and off. I'm kind of excited to shoot more with it. And it's a nice little option. So when it comes to tripods, just like everything else we've looked at, there's a million different options. There's some considerations to look at when you're doing tripods. There's aluminum tripods. There's some, even some old steel tripods that are super stable, but they're kind of heavy. And most of the industry is pretty much gone to some sort of carbon fiber. They're much less weight, still as strong. Typically, the larger the leg, the stronger they are. They tend to get more bulky. And then more of the hunting tripods kind of get smaller and more packable. You also want to consider like height. If you're going to be shooting off of them, you want it at that natural position. If you're going to be standing and shooting, for a hunting scenario, like if you're sitting on top of a hill or side of a hill or something like that, using it to glass. That's typically what I use tripods for, is to spot it at matches. I'm not the best when it comes to actually clipping in and shooting from a tripod. But there are some things to kind of consider as far as how you address the tripod. It's the same thing as you would a regular barricade. You do want to be square behind the rifle. Any kind of input you put into the gun is going to transfer to your reticle. Just like any barricade, you start putting too much input into the gun, I mean, you can even see your reticle jump just off your heartbeat. The way I typically do it if I'm not clipped in is I'll just take a bag and just throw it up on top of the ball or throw it on top of the bag deck there. But either way, I'm still going to address the rifle the same way, square behind the gun. And I normally run my hand up here, but you can run, you know, on the rifle or on the tripod. As long as your reticle stays pretty consistent and stable, and your wobble zone is as small as you can get it, hopefully staying on the plate in the center of the plate, then you can, you know, then run with it. There's no wrong answer. The main thing is figuring out what works for you and doing it. Even if you clip in, I actually saw this to take, I think it was a pretty far shot, and they had to be clipped in because of terrain. One of the things they actually did is use tripod rear in conjunction with being clipped in. And so they basically use this as stability back here. And now it's almost like modified prone. This way you basically got 2 points of contact and you're elevated off the ground. I mean, nobody says that you only have to use one tripod or, you know, or one scenario. It's just, they're just different tools in your toolbox to work with.
Well, guys, it kind of wraps up some of the tools that are considered when talking about stability with a rifle. Obviously, this can go really far in depth, and if you're looking for that kind of thing, you can go take a class. You can hop on YouTube and look for even more, but this is a really good wave top overview, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I will say, like we mentioned at the beginning, don't go out and spend a whole ton of money without practicing. If all you have is a entry-level Amazon bipod or a Magpul bipod, man, having the knowledge on how to use what you already own is far better than going out and spending $300 on a bipod that you're not actually going to practice with. So make sure you are getting reps. Brad, thank you for your wisdom and knowledge on all this stuff. Before we step off, what do you have for us on dad advice?
Oof. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it. It's been a blast. Dad advice, I don't know, it's a tough one. I guess I'd say if you have kids, to find the thing that they love and to encourage them to do that thing. So my son Cole is one of y'all's biggest fans, and dude watches every single stinking video as soon as it comes out. And yeah, just trying to find ways to encourage him to do those things is pretty cool. And y'all have given them an avenue for that, and I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, glad to hear that. Guys, if you want to support us, you can hit us up on Patreon. And as previously mentioned, if you need anything at all, Drew's email is drew@dirtycivilian.com. Oh yeah, Brad at Loophole, yeah. Brad, if do you want people contacting you? That's a no. If you need to get a hold of Brad at Loophole, you can't.